Independent games are becoming more and more relevant in the industry, with experiences like Severed Steel and Stardew Valley being handcrafted by a one-man army. But being independent means that on the one hand, you can't always afford to take too many risks in what you do. However, on the other hand, when you do, it can pay off tremendously. In order to stand out from the big games in the genre you're trying to break into, you need to be creative. This is where independent projects innovate the most. This is where Severed Steel's fast-paced gameplay and destructible environments were born. But what if someone wanted to slow things down? What if someone who loves games but prefers to just relax and play low reaction time games like Stardew Valley needed something new? There are indies that challenge your mind and your critical thinking rather than just your reaction time. There's nothing wrong with a good puzzle game. Nothing wrong with games like Rogue Sun's Tin Hearts.
Albert, listen.
All right, lad. It's time to see if you've any potential. Get in the ring.
Rogue Sun was founded in 2016 by three friends after the closure of historic UK-based Lionhead Studios. The three founders, Costas Zarafis, John Askew, and Ian Feischney, all met while working on the award-winning Fable games together. The studio was founded in Guildford, England, one of the UK's most vibrant game development hubs, with a shared passion for creating innovative, thoughtful, and memorable gameplay experiences. And when it comes to experience, the founders alone have upwards of 50 years combined experience in the industry and have assembled a team of equally battle-hardened developers from companies like Sony, EA, Kuju, and Microsoft. It was time to tell their own stories, and their first one would turn out to be a memorable one. In the miniseries produced by publisher Wired Productions, Tin Hearts creative director Costas Zarafis said that it was always in the cards for the team's first game to be both small and something that would challenge them. The game's first prototypes were made with VR in mind.
Tin Hearts has a long history. It began actually quite a long time ago, back in 2016 when we first founded Rogue Sun. At the time we were actually looking to do kind of a small game to I guess test ourselves as a new studio and test the waters of VR as well. So and actually Tin Hearts started as a VR project. During those early days of prototyping, we discovered that having gameplay come to you as opposed to you kind of going out to the game, especially given the issues around kind of locomotion and moving around in big environments, we're like, okay, well, what if we keep the environment small and bring the game to you?
To learn more about development, head to our website to read the full article that this video is based on, or go ahead and watch the miniseries, both of which are linked down in the description below. Gameplay for Tin Hearts was heavily inspired by DMA Design's Lemmings. You solve puzzles in order to get a group of characters to an endpoint. In the world of Tin Hearts, you have to guide wind-up tin soldiers to a tiny door at the end. To do this, you have to place blocks at just the right angle to guide them to where they need to be across 40 puzzles. Each of the puzzles takes place inside of the Victorian home of main character, toymaker Albert Butterworth. The way the team at Rogue Sun tells the story of him and his family was unique and something I hadn't seen before. It truly felt as if the story just unfolds around you as you solve puzzles. You almost forget that it's there, and then it hits you. It's a heartwarming story about a loving father and a brilliant toy maker in the prime of his career. You see the family at their best when something unexpected happens and turns all of their lives upside down. Without giving too much away, you witness the story of a man who throws himself into his work and tragically loses everything in the process. It's clear that the studio wasn't afraid to turn what the game seems to be in the beginning on its head in the blink of an eye. Don't let the cutesy art style and location fool you. The story is a deep and compelling tale of heartbreak and redemption. I was the one that captured the gameplay and wrote the script for this profile. The game was sent to us at a time when the work life balance debate was resonating with me alongside many others in the world. Seeing Albert's journey affected me personally in such a way that was so far out of left field that I sincerely have to commend the developers. Even if you're not a big fan of puzzle games, I wholeheartedly suggest experiencing this one for its storytelling alone. Now, let's get back to the profile. Now about the gameplay. Overall, the puzzles are great. However, there are some puzzles that introduced some new gameplay mechanics without telling the player, which leads to some really confusing moments. Not to mention that some of the puzzles past the halfway mark get pretty long. In the IT world, among many other industries, we have a term called technical debt. Essentially, it is the applied cost of future reworking required when choosing an easy but limited solution instead of a better approach that could take more time. On these long puzzles, good God, does this principle rear its ugly head. In order to solve one puzzle, for instance, the easiest answer is to sacrifice one of your 10 soldiers in order to clear the path to the next junction point, and it will let you. But in order to fully finish that specific level, all 5 of your troops have to reach the end, and doing things wrong in the beginning could easily set you off track later on. Fret not, because you have a view that's people height rather than toy height, so you can usually see your surroundings pretty well. The game even allows you to pause time and see exactly where your 10 men are headed next. This lets you plan your routes and adjust everything just right to make sure that they make it to their next destination. However, every time we felt like the puzzles were getting predictable or easy, the game threw us a curveball and changed everything. After that midway point, some of the puzzles have a platforming section where you control your own Tin Man. It helps you more easily sacrifice one of your people to activate one of the events around the puzzle and put them back on course. It was an interesting way to mix up the genres and the game as a whole. It thankfully didn't have the chance to get stale, unlike our gaming podcast, Joystick Junkies, every Wednesday at noon on this very channel. This is the reason Portal stood the test of time and is arguably the most one of the best puzzle games of all time, and much like Portal, Tin Heart's shortness and well thought out pace meant that it never overstayed its welcome. This one was a somber one, but a great one to do as our first video profile. I hope that you guys liked All Wound Up, our profile on Rogue Sun's Tin Hearts. If you like what we do, consider subscribing and liking the video. I know this wasn't your typical review, it is more of a brief dive into the development and our experiences with the gameplay. If you'd like a deeper dive into the development, feel free to follow the link in the description to read the full-length article that this video is based on. Life is short. You should enjoy it, and honestly, the world is a much better place with you in it. My friend James always shares something his dad used to tell him when he sees me focusing too much on work. There are 2 kinds of jobs in this world, ones that you love and ones that let you do what you love. If you need anyone to speak with, we're always in our Discord and we'd love to build a community there. We hope to be a community who helps each other because you should never feel alone in your fight. I hope all of you have a wonderful day. And that's a wrap. That's a relief. It's finally done. That had to be the longest 2 weeks in a while.